All this week, Fox 23 is giving you an exclusive look inside of one of Tulsa's largest employers. American Airlines merger with U.S. Air caused it to outgrow its old home in Fort Worth, Texas. We sent Fox 23's Rick Maranon to see the changes that are getting underway this week at corporate headquarters. It's new at 5.
On the ramp.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
In the terminal.
Welcome our first-class customers.
And up in the sky. To passengers on any American Airlines flight, it's the same old song and dance. But the directors of this show, the people behind the scenes that passengers never see, are about to make a big step forward in completing their merger with U.S. Airways.
And who's this in Chicago?
It's not the New York Stock Exchange, but it's just as busy as Wall Street. Every decision involving Tulsa's largest employer, including which planes come to Tulsa, is made here in the heartbeat of American Airlines. The Integrated Operations Center for American Airlines in Fort Worth, Texas, is the most vital organ for this multi-million-dollar company. Every plane, every route, every airport, even the weather, are all monitored here.
MOC routers over here.
Greg Hydella is running the show on this day in Fort Worth.
Sometimes, you have to think fast. Sometimes, no decision is the worst decision you could make.
I caught up with him as he supervised the world's largest airline on a typical and busy weekday afternoon.
Oh, I can be a fireman, policeman, traffic cop, kind of a jack of all trades, and, just try to make sure safety is first. Though
his employees all know what to do and how to manage their sectors, it's up to Hydella to make sure there isn't any turbulence in American's operations.
I try just to take it hour by hour, minute by minute, day by day. I've got a lot of good people that support me, and I have to rely on them.
But now that two airlines are almost done becoming one, the world's largest airlines operations center needs more room to work. This week, American staff will move into a new IOC designed for both airlines to work together as the new American in one place again.
We'll all be in one room together, so it won't be, as bad. I won't have to pick up a phone. I can walk over to, people and just talk to them, which is what I prefer. As
they move into the building, they're also taking you, the customer, with them. In recent years, American Airlines has opened up a social media desk right in the middle of the IOC. That's where I found Roberto Chapa.
It is rapid fire, but we can answer at our discretion. We can sit here and look at one a little longer than the next one, possibly.
Not only is the airline watching what its customers are saying about them and their flight experience, they're ready to respond with answers to react to problems from the folks at the center of the airline's decisions. Meaning that when you Facebook or tweet American Airlines, someone will read it and respond.
Craziest would be, I think, when it's weather related, because we have such big hubs in big cities that if there's a weather problem in Chicago or New York, it just bogs us down because we have so many flights going in and out. So we rely on all our team members to help us out.
As they move into their new home, those running the show at American Airlines are ready for the new digs that will not only help them run things smoother, but keep the show on the road, or in this case, the air, for years to come. In Fort Worth, Texas, covering news that matters, I'm Rick Maranon, Fox 23 News.
For more than 2 decades, one type of plane, the MD-80, has provided work for thousands of workers at the American Airlines maintenance base at Tulsa International Airport. But many of those planes are leaving and never coming back. Fox 23's Rick Maranon boarded the final flight of one of those MD-80s to show you where they end up. It's a story you'll see only on Fox 23.
The sight of an American Airlines McDonnell Douglas MD-80 is usually no big deal at Tulsa International Airport. But for American Airlines tail number N575AM, it's time for the old bird to spread its wings and fly out of green country one last time.
We'd like to welcome our first-class customers.
After picking up its last official load of Tulsa passengers, N575AM taxis out to 18 left, and as it revs up for takeoff, its wing passes by the American Airlines maintenance base one last time with no fanfare or final goodbye.
This is the last flight for this aircraft. It's been a great workhorse for American Airlines for a long time.
575 would have a busy day of making money after it dropped me off at DFW. It went to Oklahoma City twice and Nashville before spending one last night in the Lone Star State. The next morning, it's the end of the line. The door is closed, the plane is empty, and for the final time, 575 leaves for its final resting place. Over the past 24 years, more than 4 million people have sat in these chairs. And at the same time, every button, every door, even the chairs and the floor have all been repaired or replaced in Tulsa. Flying 575 are two Tulsans who had made their career pushing the MD-80 to the brink and making sure that each one coming out of Tulsa was ready to fly again.
Being the last flight, I tend to get a little bit sad about that, just thinking about the aircraft and the number of years that it's been flying around.
David Hensley and Gary Beam have together spent decades in cockpits just like this, making sure the workhorse of the fleet was fit for service each time it was repaired.
I was told at one time that if you were to take our MD-80 fleet and break it out into its own airline, it would have been like the third or fourth largest airline in the world.
Hensley describes 575's career with nostalgia because of the skill it takes to pilot the plane originally designed back in the 1970s. He says it's truly a one-of-a-kind experience because it requires pilots to actually use the controls and fly.
This aircraft is truly fly-by-wire. It really has wires that are connected to all the flight controls. The new aircraft are fly-by-wire, but it's electronic.
After an hour, we land in Roswell, New Mexico, the aircraft boneyard, the place where planes go to die. Once queen of the skies, this 747 is now meeting the sharp edge of an axe. At Roswell, planes are scrapped and harvested for parts. With American replacing all of its MD-80s with more modern and fuel-efficient planes by 2017, it was only a matter of time before 575 met the fate of other Super 80s just like it.
It's kind of sad now that it's at the end of its life. It was flying people yesterday. A couple hundred people flew on it, and then here it is today that's it.
Gary Beam has the honor of putting in the final farewell message in 575's logbook. He respects the machine and everything it's done, not only for his employer, but for Tulsa. And after a stroke of the pen, it's time to say farewell. 575 will have its American markings blotted out and will wait in the desert with its sisters until it too will be scrapped for parts.
You get used to flying a certain airplane and it becomes kind of a part of you. It's kind of an extension of you, and the Super 80 is definitely that way with me now.
In Roswell, New Mexico, covering news that matters, I'm Rick Maranon, Fox 23 News.
And tomorrow, Rick will take a look at how American is transitioning from the MD-80 to newer planes and what that means for Tulsa area workers. All this week, Fox 23 is giving you an exclusive look inside the operations of one of Tulsa's key employers, American Airlines. For years, many Tulsans have made a living repairing MD-80s for American. Just yesterday, we showed you how those planes are retired in New Mexico.
Tonight, Fox 23's Rick Maranon shows us how those retired planes will keep and create new jobs here in Green Country. It's only on Fox 23.
If you've flown on American Airlines any time in the last 30 years, you've no doubt flown on the McDonnell Douglas MD-80. It's the workhorse of their fleet. But with the desire for more modern and fuel-efficient planes, when it comes to the American workhorse, it's time to put the ponies to pasture. Planes that have carried millions of passengers over decades of service now only enjoy the company of the occasional jackrabbit. Roswell, New Mexico is the end of the line. Planes that took over 20 days to build are destroyed in less than 20 hours. But for American Airlines, the approach to their former fleet members is a little different and much less violent.
Every airplane that comes out here, it's a little dig to the heart, and you feel just kind of a little, they're going away. To see the whole life cycle of an aircraft from when we, I was there when we started having them as new aircraft on acceptance inspections in Tulsa, to now we're returning them, selling them, and retiring them.
Overseeing this operation is Matt McDonald. He moved from Tulsa to Roswell to supervise the retirement of American's oldest planes. It's up to him to keep track of every plane American brings in and make sure their parts come back to Tulsa. Even though American is done with the entire plane itself, it's not done with the parts, and that's why seats like these and other pieces of the plane are being shipped back to Tulsa. On this day, we found Tulsa mechanics in Roswell picking out seats that are needed for planes being repaired back in Green Country.
With a pipeline for the shops for parts that cannot be manufactured or bought anymore.
All of the parts selected here are refurbished, repaired, and reinstalled on the rest of American's planes still in service. In fact, American ships so many parts back to Tulsa from Roswell every day, the freight company faithfully schedules rail and truck service and gives American a discount on shipping. And McDonald's workload is just getting bigger and bigger. Tulsa-based pilots like Gary Beam will continue to deliver the MD-80s to Roswell through 2017.
It's huge for the community of Tulsa, not only for American Airlines, but for the greater Tulsa community, with all the support jobs that support the base, and then also the ripple effect through the whole community as far as the dollars that's put into Tulsa community.
Beam is just one of many employees whose jobs will be slightly changing over the next 3 years. Pilots and mechanics at the Tulsa base are seeing their workload shift from older planes to a more modern fleet, requiring those back in green country to focus less on major repairs and more on modifications. Modifications made with parts shipped back from New Mexico.
It holds great value. It holds value for the ability to keep flights going on time. It holds value to the workers in Tulsa so they can continue to have work flowing in from parts, and it gets everybody to Grandma's house on time.
In Roswell, covering news that matters, I'm Rick Maranon, Fox 23 News.
Tomorrow, Rick will show you Americans' inside secrets to getting special and quick service at the airport, especially when you are in a jam.
Today, American Airlines, as we've told you, dealt with plenty of upset customers after computer problems forced the company to ground flights out of Chicago, DFW, and Miami. We've been looking into what you should do to resolve problems with the airline quickly. Only on Fox 23. Fox 23's Rick Maranon is reporting live from Tulsa International to reveal really the secret to getting those problems taken care of fast, Rick.
And Clay, it has been a rough day for passengers. Many of them are rebooking and rescheduling those flights to get to their destinations. Many of them are getting on their phones and using the old 1-800 number, but American tells me you should be getting on your smartphone and tweeting them instead. You can't hear it, but these birds are tweeting. The world's largest airline has moved its customer service mostly to the World Wide Web.
So everybody walks around with their phone, and it's a great way for our customers to be in constant communication with American Airlines.
Whether you're stuck in the terminal, trouble in paradise, or even lost luggage, the airline tells me,
and who's this in Chicago?
The days of picking up the phone aren't over. But what you do with your phone to get customer service has changed.
Often if you're in an airport setting, maybe you're rushing in between gates, you're not able to actually talk to someone because you're on the move, but you can always tweet. So we're mobile with our customers.
The 1-800 number for customer service hasn't gone away, but American has switched over to what people are using more, social media. The airline is on every platform, but has found most of their customers prefer Twitter.
Of American Airlines and our keywords.
On the day I visited the social team, they were responding to every tweet in 20 minutes. Their ideal goal is 10. At peak travel times, the team tells me it is rapid fire, with requests, pleas for help, and questions.
We take them just in the order that they come in.
Manager Shannon Luce is a former flight attendant. She's seen problems the airline can face firsthand. In fact, all of her team has. In order to work here, you were required to have experience with passengers, meaning the airline didn't just randomly hire folks off the street for this job. They are required to have previous experience because they also have access to the reservation system and can make changes to tickets.
Sometimes people are not as happy with their experience as we would want them to be, but the great thing about the team is that they're able to answer those tweets, and hopefully they're able to find resolution for our customers and turn that situation around.
But not all of them immediately know the answer to your question, which is why American Airlines showed me their second social media desk right in the middle of their operations center.
MOC routers over here.
To those working here, the social media desk inside the center isn't just someone playing on Facebook for a living. It's their chance to tell customers what is happening and how they're fixing a problem.
We treat each tweet equally. There's no secret. We're going to help you whenever we can.
But not everything is negative. American is not only the world's largest airline, but one of the world's oldest brands still in the sky. Robert Chapa sees the good and the bad and tells me most interactions are split between complaints and compliments.
I love the pictures with the pilots when they look at the children that are in the cabin with them.
So the next time you fly the red, white, and blue bird and your feathers get ruffled, it's best to sit down and tweet.
Social media is the way of the future, and that's the way people communicate, especially young people, and even my mom's on Twitter now that she knows that I'm working. So they're fascinated.
On a busy day like today, however, your wait time could be 20 to 30 minutes. I am told American is bringing on more people to their social media team at the end of this year and early next year to make sure that wait time stays a consistent 10 to 15 minutes once everyone is hired at American Airlines on that social media team. One important thing we do want to note, do not send your private information in that initial tweet. You will be dealing with American Airlines privately through private messages, and that's when you will exchange that information with the reservations agent. Reporting live at Tulsa International Airport, covering news that matters, I'm Rick Maranon, Fox 23 News.